Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Popular Decks. I'm your host Michael and today I'm playing this mono white, basically just creature beatdown deck. Before I get too much into the deck, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe down below if you want to see more content like this. If you want to be alerted anytime I put out new videos, either follow me on Twitter or hit that bell icon. I always tweet out anytime that I put out new videos, and that bell icon will have YouTube notify you anytime that I release a new video. And finally, leave me any comments down below if you want to give me any advice or you have some interesting decks you want me to play. I'm kind of running out of decks, like top tier decks to play, so I might replay some, or if there's some cool brews you guys want to see, I will definitely get to those. But I generally only want to play decks that have at least gotten a 5-0 in a league, so try to keep it to that. I want them to at least be competitive in the league. It's just not fun to go and play in a league and get destroyed every game. So this episode I'm playing this mono white deck from CDK. Took this to the top 8 of one of I think maybe the finals even of one of the recent Pauper challenges that are on Sundays, and it's an interesting list. It's a little different than some of the other mono white decks. I don't know. They're all so similar, but they're all like slightly different. Like we've got a little bit different top end. We don't have Battle Screech. We've got these Guardian of the Guild packs. So that's kind of what sets us apart from a lot of the other mono white decks. We also don't have the Soldier sub theme that some of them have. So that's another kind of mono white deck. So we've got the Guardian of the Guild pack. It's really resistant to removal. It's hard for blue-red fairies to counter it because it costs 4. And then we've got the Gift of Orzhova. That's a combo with the Guardian of the Guild Pact. So Guardian of the Guild Pact has protection from monocolored, really resistant to removal in general, other than edicts. There's a couple of removal spells that can kill it, like Agony Warp, Complete Disregard, and Terminate all hit it. But other than that, it's pretty immune to most of the removal spells in the format. And then Gift of Orzhova goes right on top of it, and it makes it huge, and it's a fast clock, and it's impossible to race. Like, I don't know, 3-power lifelink is pretty good. So that's a good dude. Then we've got a bunch of little dorky creatures. So we've got these, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Icatian Javelineers. I think that's how you pronounce it. So these guys are pingers for 1 mana. They only get to ping one time, but that's usually all you need. Pinging a Delver or like an Elf or Aquarian Ranger or whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff that dies to pings, or if you just have 2 pings, whatever. Even like a Sunlance plus an Icatian Javelineers can take down a 4/4. That's pretty strong. We've got the best white card in the format, in my opinion. We've got 4 copies of Thraben Inspector, and then we've got 4 copies of the second best white card in the format in Core Skyfisher. So we don't have a ton of value to pick up with Core Skyfisher. We mostly just have Thraben Inspectors, actually. In fact, there's really no other ones. There's these Javelineers are sort of value to pick up, so it's not terrible to pick them up, but it's not that amazing. Not like a Thraben Inspector. Then we've got the Aviary Mechanic. It does kind of the same thing, except it's just like worse. I mean, it's a May ability, so you don't necessarily have the same problems that Core Skyfisher sometimes has, but it's like an extra Core Skyfisher. We got Loyal Cathar, really resistant to removal. Takes 2 removal spells to kill this guy. We've got Squadron Hawk. It takes 4 removal spells to kill all these hawks, so those are pretty good. One thing that's interesting about this deck is it doesn't have any mass pump spells, so normally these types of decks play Guardian's Pledge or something like that in order to give all your creatures +2 power. We don't have any of that here. What we have instead are all these Bone Splitters. They're better if you only have 1 creature at a time, I guess, and yeah, so you just like equip up this Bone Splitter and then you got a big beater. The final cards in the deck that I haven't talked about yet are these removal spells. We got the Sunlance and the Journey to Nowheres. They're just removal spells, nothing special about them. Finally, we got 1 Benevolent Bodyguard. I don't really know why we have this guy. We don't have any important things to protect, but it is what it is. That's what we've got. He's a decent creature anyways. Then we've got 2 Secluded Steps in the mana base, otherwise it's all plains. I got a mismatched plains though. What is this? Alright, I shouldn't have done any drafting because now I ended up with an Amonkhet Plains in my deck. Magic Online, please let me just pick my default lands. Alright, I should just go to Snow Covered. Alright, sideboard. What's kind of interesting about this one is we've got these Rune of Protections. So you guys are probably familiar with the Circle of Protections. but these are a little different in that they cost a white every time you want to activate them, but if you draw multiples or if you don't really need it, you can cycle it away. So these are really strong. They're much stronger than Circle of Protection if you're playing them in a mono white deck, but costing a white to activate each time makes a Circle of Protection much more realistic in most of the decks that play those. But in this deck, we only have white producing lands, so here you go, we've got these. I got a little more removal for various things. You got a Fragmentize and some Dust to Dusts to hit the artifacts, and Fragmentize also hits enchantments. Sunlance kills a creature. We've got some stuff for graveyards. We got a Crimson Acolyte, which is really good against red decks. Sun's Enlistment to grind people out. You can just retrace all your lands and turn them into 1/1s. Finally, we got this spicy Lapse of Certainty. I don't know exactly what this is for, but it's a pretty nice tempo play late in the game. If your opponent's like trying to cast a Muldrifter or something, and then you lapse it back on top, suddenly they have to spend 5 mana again the next turn to cast it. That's pretty good spell for that. I assume that's when we bring it in. I'm not really sure, but I assume it's for expensive spell decks. So that's pretty much it for the deck. And again, remember, subscribe down below, give me comments, do whatever you want. The only way I know how to improve is if you guys tell me what you guys want to see. So with that, let's get to some games.